Welcome guys to a special edition of Cerner Hacks. Today we're going to talk about the Cst GO Live that's coming up at Vancouver General Hospital, and this will probably apply to a lot of the lower mainland sites. So if you haven't launched yet, this might be applicable to you. In the pre-launch, there'll be a lot of things happening in the background. Obviously, you'll be doing your training with the CST team. You'll need to get privileging for PharmaNet and Care Connect. You'll have some personalization sessions where they'll help you with your logins and your tap-in functionality. They'll also optimize a bit of your workflow during these times. And this is a good time to ask questions because you'll be one-to-one with somebody to help you through this. And finally, practice, practice, practice. Setting up your screens properly, and making sure you know the functionality, getting yourself familiar with the Cerner environment because it's a very busy screen. Prior to launch day, your group should get together with the CST team to talk about how you manage your census. You can use care teams or a provider group list. They both have their advantages and disadvantages, and probably talking with the CST team prior to launch would be the best thing to optimize it for your group. Making sure you have home access. You'll need the Microsoft token to get access through your phone, and the CST team again can help you with that. Before launch day, I'd also recommend having a communication tool that you can use amongst your team members to troubleshoot things that have come up for individuals. If you want to put out a question to the group that everyone needs answered, to put in tips, those sorts of things. So in the past, people have used the Slack app. Their text messaging groups, they can use WhatsApp. So find the best communication tool between you and your team members. And finally, just making sure that you have enough team members on launch day because you will be a little slow. So upstaffing for first week or two would be a good idea if that's possible. So on the Cerner side of pre-launch, what goes behind the scenes is years and years of effort amongst the subject matter experts, so people within your team who were consulted on how to build power plans, how to make workflows better for you guys. So Cerner people have learned many lessons from successive launches at both St. Paul's Hospital, at Lionsgate, and other sites, and the experience from those other launches goes towards the VGH launch. So coming up to go live, there'll be a lot of staff coming in from both locally and abroad. As you probably know, Cerner is a U.S. firm, so they'll be bringing in people from the U.S. to come into Vancouver to help launch Cerner. There'll be also a lot of local support from people who have launched at other sites to help you through the process. Cutover refers to the transition from paper charts to paperless on the day of launch. So there'll still be paper charts available, but all the medications will be ported over from the physical chart to Cerner Online. So there'll be overnight staff helping with that transition. Around the time of launch, you'll also see something called the Cst Hub. This is basically the command center where everything happens, where the helpers will sign in and sign out. This is also a place where you'll get some of the further training that you might need or help logging in. This is where you'll be able to get some help if you can't find help around. So the CST staff is color-coded. There's the red shirts and the green shirts. So the red shirts are at the elbow support. They're the people who you ask if you're having trouble navigating through Cerner or if you have questions on how the workflows and those sorts of things. It's important to note that not all red shirts have the same background. Some of us are physicians, some are nurses, some are clinical support who know the program, who have been brought in from out of town. So we have our various expertise. We'll probably have ID buttons on us identifying our background. So if you have questions that are more related to physicians, getting a staff member with a MD button would help. Although if it's just basic navigation through Cerner, then pretty much anyone can help you out. But it's about workflow issues or specifically about ordering very specific tests, then a physician may help you better with that sort of thing. For at the elbow support people, there'll be a twice daily touch base where we discuss any challenges that's come up during the day. We communicate through a Slack app. So if one person doesn't know how to answer a question, then we put it out to the group and hopefully somebody in the group will be able to answer back. If there are things that can't be figured out or if a new problem arises, then we create what we call JIRA tickets. And that goes to the build staff to resolve the problem. And then there's the green shirt people. The green shirt people are your device supports. They will help with things like printers, microphone access, login issues, Fessor, anything that's more hardware related. And of course, we talked about the Cst Hub, which is a command center. This is where a lot of tech people will be. This is also the training center. So if you haven't had your passwords done or you need a password reset, or if you need some further training to get access, this is where you go. You can also come here to get your computer set up for remote access if you don't have remote access already. So on go live day, don't panic, there's lots of help around. Everyone's launching at the same time, so of course everyone may be a little stressed, but don't worry, we're in this together, we'll get through the day. You'll walk into the hospital and it's going to be the same hospital that you came in the day before. Nothing's going to change. So some people think it's going to be a radical change. Yes, the computer system's new, but the way you do things in the hospital won't change. You still will see your patients. And don't forget, use the old school ways of communicating. Just because you've got a computer system there, it doesn't mean that it takes over your calling of texting or even talking to people face to face. So use the computer system as a tool to make your day a little bit more efficient once you get to know it a little bit better. Leave yourself lots of time to learn during the daytime. There's no stupid questions here. We're all learning together. And if you have a question, then probably somebody else in your group has the same questions. I'd suggest writing down some of the issues that come up throughout the day. If they're minor issues, just write them down, make a list, and then find some time during the daytime, maybe even just to sit down with one of the red shirts to talk about how to make things more efficient, how to troubleshoot some of the things that you've had during the daytimes. So help is really all around. You'll see lots of people in red shirts, particularly the first couple weeks. There'll be green shirts, obviously, for any tech issues. The Zoom support service. So at the top banner bar, there'll be a Zoom support helpline where you can click on it. It's probably recommended that you do this on a computer with a camera so they can see you. They'll be able to link directly to your machine and help navigate through. This is particularly helpful if you don't see a red shirt person around and you need help, maybe in the evening time when there's less people around. There's also a direct link from the Citrix storefront if you're at home and you need virtual support. They'll be able to help you through that as well. Of course, you can go back to the Cst Hub to help you with your issues. And finally, there's a Cst online resource help. So again, on one of the bars in your Cerner screen, there's online resource help, or you can simply go to healthcarebc.ca. That's a website direct link to the Cst help index. So on the Cst Go live date, you'll see your first patient. Cerner will probably launch around 7 o'clock in the morning on Go Live Day. When I was launching BC Children's, they had some issues logging into Cerner. If you're having trouble logging in, it may be that the computer hasn't been updated yet to go live. So if that's the case, try turning the computer off and restarting it. And don't forget, when you do go live, your first patient, the medicine's still the same. You're still seeing the same patient. The medicine doesn't change. There'll still be the old charts available for your reference, so you can still peruse through your old notes, what's happened before, what previous orders, and those sorts of things. Starting from launch date, there'll be chartlets made up, and they will carry things that can't physically be put on the computer. So things like consent forms. There might be some physical papers from outside the hospital, like faxes from clinics. There'll also be some stickers on the chartlets that are for lab labels, for tubes, and for lab work and those sorts of things. Expect that your encounter when you enter your first patient, most of the stuff will be empty, including your med rec and your active and chronic issues lists. Take your time to fill in the med rec because you need the med rec finished before you're able to discharge the patient. So it's good to do that early when you still have the old chart sitting next to you. And then eventually filling in your active and chronic issues would be helpful before the patient goes home. It's actually really good to use your active and chronic issues and modifying those as much as you can. I've got another Cerner video that talks about this in the top 10 tips episode. And don't forget to review your order profile initially, just to make sure everything that's ordered there is what you want, and fill in the things that still need to be ordered, things like diet or activity is tolerated, maybe you need a physiotherapy request and those sorts of things. So just making sure those orders are in there so that the appropriate people know what to do. And don't forget, if there's an order you're putting in, double check with the people you're communicating with. Of course, everyone's going live at the same day. Some people are still learning the process and how things work. And if you put an order in, particularly like a communication order, some of those things may not get through the right people at the right time. So don't forget just to talk to people. You always can pick up the phone or just tap somebody on the shoulder and say, hey, by the way, I need this done, just to make sure they don't get missed, particularly that go live. Down the road, once people get into their routines, they know where to check for information, then that becomes a bit more reliable. So after go live, You can relax a bit more. There's still lots of people around. Use this time to understand the limitations of Cerner and where you can get efficiencies. When people are still around, ask them about how to do quick orders, how to create auto text, how to personalize your screens. The red shirts will be around for about 2 weeks and then start to taper off. After a month, most of them will be gone. So definitely use the red shirts and talk to them while they're still around, because once they're gone, it's difficult to get optimization sessions. If there are things or processes that your group needs, this is a good time to troubleshoot these efficiencies while the build team's on site. So if there's things that are ineffective or inefficient for your group that you want maybe tweaked, the build team's on site during this month to help you with these issues. So finally, I'd like to leave you with an ode. Go live is a constipated poo. You know it's going to be painful when it passes. You can prepare, but the pain cannot be ignored. You can sit and fret, but it won't help you feel better. You know it has to be passed and better times lie ahead. Once it passes, you might think it stinks, but eventually you know it's for the better and you're glad you did it. So don't forget, keep your cool. Times are tense. We understand that. So don't flip out on the red shirt that's trying to help you. Just take your time to learn this. You'll get through it. Once you're more efficient at it, you'll understand it's a better tool for everyone. All right, that's all I've got. So good luck with Go Live. We'll see you there.